Welcome to Antigua, boys! You've crossed the Atlantic! Well done, that's amazing.
It's been a while, yes, since I've been a transatlantic rower, and just saying it just gives me goosebumps on the back of my neck. I still don't think, it doesn't feel like I've done it. It feels like 10 years ago, if that makes sense. I've wrote a journal, but forgotten a lot of what happened. But it feels amazing. It really does feel like me and Jonny done something pretty special, pretty special.
I'm going to predict 38 days.
Get out,
We'll see you on the other side.
Thanks for your confidence.
Was it harder than I thought it was going to be? If I had to give one word answer, it would be yes. The longer answer would be, we didn't know what to expect. We'd done a little bit of practice on the Solent and thought that was rough. When you get out, I suppose after 2-3 weeks, when you're out in the proper Atlantic, because there's different grades, when you're out in the proper Atlantic and there's nothing about and you're in the big rollers, it's gnarly. It's gnarly out there, and it's tough. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect some of the things that were going on. I didn't expect to see as much wildlife as we seen. I didn't expect to see nothing, no ships, no people, nothing for quite so long. That was when we left sort of Lanzarote in Gran Canaria and seen that for the last time. We didn't see ships for 6-7 weeks, nothing at all. So yeah, it was a lot more. I didn't expect it, the Atlantic to want to kill you so much. She doesn't care what mood you're in. She doesn't care you're missing your family. She doesn't care that you might feel sad that day or happy that day. She don't care if it's raining, a storm, sunny. She's just doing what she does, the Atlantic, being a fierce ocean that, yeah, we didn't expect some of the things that went on out in the mid-Atlantic. That's a crazy place out there. So the hardest thing for me, easy peasy, missing my family. Every day, had family issues. If you followed us, you'll know what happened with my daughter's mum. I didn't really want to be there to start with, or all the way through, if I'm honest, because of what was going on back at home, and I couldn't do nothing. So I felt guilty every day about that, and obviously we had lots of issues, so I couldn't be in touch with them every day. And for me, missing family and friends and being around the people that I love, that was by far the hardest, by far. Did we do anything to help us cope? Yes, so towards the end, we sort of went, we were stuck there and there's nothing you could do. But for me, when I did phone my family and get through to them, Gemma and the girls, I felt shit. I felt, I was thinking of them all the time, and your head needed to be in the game out there, because she was after us, right? She's trying to kill you, doing what an ocean does. We're in a 26-foot boat. So what we did towards the end is we decided to cut it off, and it was only about a week maybe a week from the end, but me and Jonny said, Billy, can you tell our families that we just want to concentrate on what we've got to do, and they needed to go into this part of the brain and get boxed off, and we needed to focus on what we needed to do. So that's how we coped. The hardest thing for Jonny, I think for Jonny, not being in control. For Jonny, because we weren't. She was. You know, Mother Nature, the Atlantic, she was in control, and we had to subverse to what she decided was going on. And I think Jonny found that hard, not having the full control. How well did Jonny cope? Same as me. We had good days and we had bad days. We coped on the whole pretty well because we made it in one piece. But we had down days as well, and days where we didn't feel too good, and days where we didn't want to say much. And well, I would say Jonny coped well, but he definitely had days where he struggled, which is nothing wrong with that, because so did I. Fair to say Jonny's the more practical? Yes. I always say without Gemma we wouldn't have made it to the start line. Without Jonny, some of that kit would never have worked again. He was ingenious at fixing stuff. There was one occasion where we was in the end, I don't know if you've seen it, we had a little compass between our legs, a flashlight flashed onto that Jonny had screwed in with a bit of Velcro, which was all tickety-boo and fantastic, and this was the best thing I think he'd done. And then our batteries ran out because we weren't being expected to use the torch quite as much as what we did. And Jonny went, I know what I'll do. In the front cabin, there's a light that we don't need. I'll dig all that wiring out, pull the light out, put it onto the deck and shine it onto the compass. And that's what he did. And he waterproofed it and shined it onto our compass. And he even did it in a way, because I used to use the angle of the flag. I'd get the bearing, what the bearing was, then I'd see the angle of the flag and know that's the way that we need to point. Jonny went on the bearing all the time, so he even made sure that that light at night time flashed onto the flag to see it. It was brilliant. We went through so much anxiety with the things that had gone wrong, and we fell out. We fell out, and I've been open and honest about that. We fell out quite a lot, then made friends, then fell out, then made friends. We've not been in touch a lot since. I texted him today, actually. We've not been in touch a lot since, but I think perhaps in the future, when this sinks in, what we've done, because forever, no matter what happens, we've got this bond that what we've done now, we was in the Marines together, and we've now rowed across the Atlantic together, and it was, so there were some special times on that boat. There's a whale! Come and say hello. There she goes, did you see that? Yes, got it. That was the blow thingy. That's it. We're coming home. Yes, I was the communicator of the team. No, it wasn't. It wasn't easy. When you get, so we did 2 hours on, 2 hours off for 2 months, and we were the only team that did that. When you get your 2 hours off, you want to eat, have a poo or whatever you've got to do, and then get your head down. That's all you want to do. So to get your phone out, it's all a real ball ache and a pain in the ass. But we've seen so many amazing things, and there was so much that we had to show the people back on Portland, our sponsors, the charities, our friends and family, just to show them that we were safe as well. So it was hard, it wasn't easy at all doing that, but it was something I knew we had to do to get to keep that message going. It was about raising as much awareness and money for the charities as we possibly could. Rowing the Atlantic was number 2, and that's the gospel honest truth. For me, that's what I wanted to do, is get across that we've had friends that have died by suicide, and I wanted us to sort of do our little bit and to say to people that if you're struggling, you're not alone, to reach out if you can and to get help, because killing yourself's not the option. It's not the option. Everybody's loved, and you need to be here on this lovely planet.
We've got dolphins now.
Earlier on, I was getting my head down and I heard in a broad Blackburn accent, "Sean, there's a shark! I'm not joking!" So I burst out the pod. I did have my phone, but I just wasn't quick enough. We did see lots of wildlife. So Billy, who's an ocean rower, he's done 2 or 3 oceans, I think, very experienced. He's never seen a shark while he's been rowing. Myself and Jonny were lucky enough to see 2, a blue shark and a thresher, and they were both in the same place off the rear of our boat. Very weird. I definitely think they were stalking us. I don't know how long they were there, but we seen them for however long we did. And especially the thresher shark, that was a really lumpy day. And on one of the times, that followed us for a little while, and on one of the occasions, the wave was above us and the shark was in the wave above us. And I was like, wow, I can't deal with this. It's what there's a shark. You could literally see it 20, 30 foot away in a big wave above the boat. Like, please come into the water. But I didn't feel scared. I felt a bit weird with the thresher, and that was a big one. The thresher was big. The blue shark was a bit smaller. Still wouldn't have given it a cuddle, not going to lie. We seen 3 whales. The best occasion, I was rowing on a early one Sunday evening. The weather was like this. It was a nice coming into dusk, and we heard a massive air blow and looked over. I was having a chat with Jonny, looked over, and there was a sperm whale just swimming in the opposite direction, 40, 50 foot away. And it was like, I personally felt privileged to see all that, and hundreds of dolphins that come and look at you as much as you're looking at them, because they turn onto their side, so you're getting eye contact with a wild dolphin. But the seabirds, for me, they were my favourite, and they're kind of written off as just birds, and nobody really talks about them. But for me, the seabirds I had the most fun with them, and they were the ones that I named. I named a lot of the seabirds because they had character. They come onto your boat. Some of them looked like they'd peck your eyes out, and they would have. Others were really timid and lovely, and they were my favourite. The seabirds were definitely my favourite. Larry is a Leach's Storm Petrel. No, the sharks didn't get names. I didn't feel... I felt a connection with the birds. I didn't feel a connection with the dolphins or the whales or the sharks. They were sort of there and we were here. With the birds, they would come onto the boat or fly into the boat or fly above you, and they would make noises and have cute little faces, where the other animals, they didn't have that. So I didn't have that connection to feel like that I could name them, if that makes sense. Were we ready to go? Looking back, no. I don't think we were, because we didn't know what to expect. You can't know what to expect. If you've never done it before, me and Jonny were novices. We thought, we're big roughy tufty ex-Marines. What's the worst that can happen? Well, now we know. So all of our kit that went wrong was tested in Lanzarote, not just by us, but by the Atlantic team. So we were as ready as we could be, but I think, no, we could have done more. I don't know if you could do more mentally to prepare yourself. I certainly would prepare myself different now than I did then. I wouldn't concentrate so much on training this. I would concentrate on making sure that I got my head straight, knowing that was what was coming up now, and also I would get around the boat a lot more and understand what the kit does, because I relied on Jonny for that far too much. I would make sure that I got round the boat, knew where things were, how you take it apart, how you put it back together. It took me a while. Jonny was right into it. He didn't get seasick, and to be fair, normally I don't. But for the first 2 days, I was doing a bit of spewing over the side, which set Jonny off a couple of times, which I felt good about. And the only time in those 2 days that I felt okay was when I was rowing. When I come off the oars is when I started feeling sick again. But it settled down fine. So yeah, when the land disappears the last time, what you see is the glow of it at night time and the glow of land. You see that for a few days, and it takes about 5 days, and then from Lanzarote, and then the land is no more. And then you know you're sort of in the abyss. You still could turn round at that point, but obviously that's never an option, and you know you're not going to see land again for another couple of months. It's a weird, strange and surreal feeling. When you're out in the mid-Atlantic, the sky is fantastic. 2 hours on, 2 hours off. You cope with it because you have to. It's part of the mission that you've been getting ready for me for 2 years. There's no tap out button on that boat where you can press it and somebody magically appears and goes, "You're feeling scared, come on, you can get off for the night." It's hard, it is hard, and it takes a little while to get used to it, but when you do, you sort of become numb to the dangers, although you're still very switched on, making sure that things are good and working right. You become numb to it. But to cope, we just had to switch off of the dangers and switch on to what we knew we had to do.
Notice how difficult it is in the mid-Atlantic to actually row anywhere. You can't do it.
I quite like Sean's new footwear.
So we had the most stuff go wrong. Let's see if I can remember some of it. So the batteries, they sort of went down to 50% after about 5 days. So we had to manage them for the next 7 weeks. The GPS went a bit funny on several occasions. Comms went down, satellite phone went down, water maker broke, so we had to go on the hand pump, then we fixed the water maker. When things go wrong, when you're at sea, on your own like that, and you know that you've got months to go, it's scary, and the anxiety was really high, and then we'd sort one problem out, and then another problem would come up, and then we'd have to sort that out, and then we'd sort that out, and then another problem would happen. That's how it seemed like for nearly the whole crossing. It was tough. It really was tough. And even to the point where I was doing a journal, I had this pen and I'm writing, something else had gone wrong that day, and I'm writing words to the effect of, when you're on the Atlantic, one thing goes right and 2 things go, and my pen ran out on that bloody line. Unbelievable that my pen ran out on that line. So then I got a little pencil with a wobbly nib and used that to finish the rest of the journal.
Hi everyone, it's me, Jonny. I'd just like to get over that it was horrendous last night. I've never had such a worst night in my life.
And that's our first time ever on Power Anchor.
Everything went wrong. We got the power anchor out, we nearly capsized. It was just splashing over the boat.
And you've got to get in these little tiny cabins all together, nice and tickety-boo, and it ain't nice.
We had to stop in here for 8 hours. It was absolutely horrendous.
Did we find storms? They certainly found us. Yeah, we had one right towards the end. That was probably the biggest and best one. We had good weather days, and I don't like to say bad weather days, but stormy days where the wind's blowing. We had the wind blowing in the wrong direction for most of it, to be fair. It was tough conditions on this crossing, we've been told by other experts. The squalls were another level, so you're rowing along and you see this angry rain cloud and it seems to divert to where you are and unload on you. Rain like you wouldn't believe. And I remember it always seemed to be a Saturday night. My hands peeled. I don't know what happened to them, and it was horrible. They'd like lost a layer of skin. It wasn't painful, it just looked scary. And I remember rowing along one Saturday night and I was in a storm, in a squall, and it was dropping water on me. It wasn't rain, it was just dropping water on me. And I looked at my hands and they were falling off. And I remember thinking, if my wife would see this now, she would cry. If she's seen the state of my hands. We did have a few mental moments. Some people say I'm a little bit mental anyway, and I think I am a little bit weird, and I like that. I embrace it these days. But yes, but before I go on to any of that, I would say anybody that's listening that wants to row the Atlantic, it's 90% mental and 10% physical, without a shadow of a doubt. You have to get your head right and know what to expect as much as you can. But yeah, one evening, I come on deck, I could hear Jonny singing. And he did do a bit of singing anyway, but it just sounded a bit different. And I come out and I went, "Are you all right, mate?" And he went, It's good, isn't it?" And I went, "What's that?" And he went, It's just good." And I went, "Do you feel all right?" And he was going, yeah, I feel great. And I said, "Jonny, just get your head down. You're acting a bit strange, get your head down." Well, within half an hour of me doing my shift, I felt weird myself. And looking back, I think the first month, or certainly the first 3 weeks, we were falling asleep on the oars on the 2 hour on, 2 hour off shift system. And I think it was just part of our body getting as used to it as it can, because the second month I felt so much better. Still tired, but so much better, and didn't have no strange moments like that. This was before halfway. We were acting weird and falling asleep well before halfway. I would say from halfway on, we were more wide awake. Is it because no, it definitely is not, because you still know that you've got another month to go. And we'd written 1,600 miles done, 1,600 to go, and we were ecstatic at that point, thinking, oh, we've only got another 1,600 miles to go.
How do you feel about being halfway, Jonny?
It feels absolutely blooming marvellous. It's all down here from now.
Hitting halfway, a celebratory moment. It was an amazing, it was, yeah. We had I think we had a bit of rum, myself and Jonny, and we celebrated that we only had 1,600 miles left. And looking back, the state that we were in, and that we'd had enough when we were about a week away, and I seen what we'd written on Danielle's bulkheads on the walls. Oh, 1,600 gone, 1,600 to go, yay. I said to Jonny, if I went back there now, I don't know if I'd be able to make it. And to think that we were happy, it was just crazy in my head. But yeah, we were. But then when we were nearly finished, I just couldn't bear the thought of being back out there again. I couldn't have handled it. We had a couple of dousings, mate. We had the big rollers coming in. They were generally good because they'd lift you up, cart you along, so you didn't have to work so hard, you didn't have to row so much. But on this particular day, it wasn't raining, it wasn't windy, it was sunny. They were steep. They were really steep, and we had to try and get the right angle so we didn't get thrown over. Well, it turns out that a couple of times we didn't. I was in the cabin for one of them and didn't realise we'd capsized until I was stood on the roof. And it's all, the only way I can explain it is it's a massive, violent action. Massive, violent action, because you're getting lifted up by a wave and it's just throwing you where it wants to. So all of the cabin contents was all over me. I was upside down, Jonny was on the deck. He was shouting, "Sean, do not open the hatch," because if I'd have opened it at that time, I would have let the Atlantic into our cabin and that would have been game over, come and rescue us. I never was going to do that. Anyway, it self-righted really fast, Danielle did, lovely. We swapped over, did a few more shifts. Then it capsized us when I was on deck, and I explained it like one was a 9.5, scary, one was a 10, scary, out of 10, but I couldn't tell you which one was which. They're both really terrifying because you don't know what's going on, and the sea's all over you, you're soaking wet, and that's another thing I never thought that I would be that wet for that long. You're wet all the time. We did wet and dry routine in the Marines, but not for 58 days, and I reckon for 3/4 of that we were wet, a lot of it. We lost communication because the water we found was coming in through a couple of the masts, and then that leaked in through the back into the cabin, so we couldn't use our phones. We were scared to use them and run the battery down. A lot of our other equipment that we needed to charge through them sockets wouldn't charge either, so it was scary times when we lost comms. Yeah, we had the satellite phone, but it was connected, so the satellite, it's hard to explain. So the satellite phone, you have a connection to an aerial outside. That had broke. So we only had a loose satellite phone that needs to be outside, but you're not allowed to take it outside because if it gets wet, that's it, the satellite phone. So we'd find a little place in the cabin to try and do the communications with the Atlantic Dash safety officer, and I used to get so fed up with it because you just want to do your chat, say you're all right, tell me family I'm good, and then get your head down. But it was like, what's that comedian that goes, and that's what it was like, and you would hear him and go, oh, let's just get this done, and I want to go to sleep. So yeah, that was kind of working, but not. Yeah. We always knew where we were up until the last storm, when that was blowing us north and we didn't realise how far north it was blowing us. So we were good, knew where we were, and we was even following ourselves on the paper chart, plotting on that as well, just in case, because all the things that were going wrong. So yeah, we were pretty good all the way over and knowing where we were.
Antigua, baby.
Jonny, what is it that I shouted this morning?
Land ahoy!
Who saw the lights first? I think it was me. We didn't believe it. I said to Jonny, so I was the skipper of the boat, but I wasn't the skipper that said it's my way or the byway. It was a very much a team orientated thing. But I said, when it comes to the land ahoy shout, mate, that's mine. That is mine. And I remember doing it, and it was fantastic. At the top of my lungs, stood up high. It was a fantastic moment. We were both very suspicious. I remember coming out on deck and seeing a glow, right? And Jonny had read this book by Lee Spencer, a friend of ours who's rowed the Atlantic a couple of times. And the book said it's about 35 to 40 miles you'll see land. So when we was getting 50 miles or less, we was coming out. Have you seen it? No, we haven't. Oh, do you know? And then I come out and went, there's a glow there. Jonny, where did the sun go? And he went, I think that's where the sun went. No, hang on a minute. The sun went down there. And then we had the realisation that that was the glow of land. But we didn't see it, obviously, till the next day. And when you first see land, it's a crazy thing. You don't actually think it's land. You think it's some sort of mirage or cloud or whatever else apart from land itself. But it's lovely to see. And the colours, you forget the colours. All I've seen is blue for 2 months, so yeah. There's our day's done chart. We're transatlantic mowers. Transatlantic rower, transatlantic rower. I'm going to get them all singing that in Antigua, you wait. What was it like to see my family and friends? Well, I find it hard to speak about it without feeling emotional. Myself and Jonny were emotional the last day leading up to that point. We'd had some really crappy times out there, lots going wrong. I thought I was going to just break down and cry, but we had to hold it together and steer her in to make sure we didn't crash into the pontoon. That helped me concentrate on that. But when you finally round the last corner coming into the marina, and I seen my wife Gemma and my daughter Rhiannon and my brother Richard with a big banner, and they were jumping up and down, it was just the most incredible. It was almost worth doing it. It was almost worth doing it. It was, and then you come alongside the pontoon. All you want to do is get off and hug your family and give them a big kiss and jump and shout and stuff like that. But you've got flags to photos, champagne to do. We'd done the flares further out at sea, so that was all done. And then I stood on a pontoon like this after being at sea for 58 days, and I looked at my mate Liam and I said, "Is this one of them floating pontoons moving about?" And he went, "No, it's solid, Sean." And it was literally, I was moving like that, like being on Danielle. Very, very weird. And it took me over a week to be able to walk in a straight line again. And I'd wake up in the morning and the shout was to Gemma, "Is the boat still moving or is the boat steady?" And I'd wake up in the morning and go, "The boat's still moving." And the room would be rocking. It's crazy. Mad. Did the crossing take its toll? Abso-bloody-lutely. We didn't have an easy crossing. We had a lot of things go wrong. The weather wasn't on our side for a lot of it. And I don't mean we had loads of storms. We didn't have the conditions pushing us the right way, a lot of it. And that's what you need. You really do need it. And I've learnt that more now than ever. The current, more than anything, that's what you need. The motion of the water going your way. And a lot of the times, it was coming over our starboard side and just going all over us and not blowing us the right way. So it was tough. The sleep deprivation, all the things that had gone wrong, definitely took its toll. By the time we got to Antigua, we'd had enough. We'd had enough. I've been invested in this for over 2 years, you know. It's been a right old roller coaster and we've learned so much about so many different things. I haven't processed it all yet and it's going to take a long time for me to process it. Physically, I'm back in the gym, I'm doing the same as what I was before, but mentally, I'm probably just about got over it and I've been back about a month now, and up until last week, I was of the opinion where I would definitely never do this again. But last week I was at work feeling a little bit down and JD said to me, "Dad, are you all right? You're a bit quiet." And I said, "I'm missing it. I'm missing even though it's gnarly and she wants to kill you, life's simple on that boat. It's a simple life. The fight or flight thing, that's how we should be living really amongst nature. But we don't do it no more. The human race has sort of gone away from that. And looking back, I miss the simplicity, not making 1,000 decisions a day that mean nothing. And life's 100 miles an hour and it means nothing. The only thing that I missed on that boat was my friends and family. So that's the only things that are important. And I made lots of pacts with myself to not get back into being overwhelmed by doing too much work. I'm gonna be a lot kinder to myself and spend a lot more time with the people that mean the most. In the resort, when the ocean rowers come in, all the blokes look the same. Hairy, and the eyes were sort of like that, and everybody in the resort knew what you'd done and wanted to talk to you. I thought I looked horrific. That day I wanted to have a good shape up and shave it off, but Gemma said, no, I like it. So I left it on for about 5 days, I think, and in the end I was like, come on babe, I feel like I've had enough of the Robinson Crusoe look now, you know, and so she let me have a little shape up and a haircut. The kids, they look at me, rightly or wrongly, as some kind of superhero, my daughters, because I've done stuff in the Marines, etc., and I've told them a few stories. But what's really good is they've been there when I've spoke to people and people have asked me what's it like, and I've told them how scared I was. And it was good for them to hear that their dad was scared, and I could see them go, wow, you know, Dad was actually scared, you know, because they up until that point think that I didn't get scared. I do get scared. I'm human. I get scared of stuff, you know, sometimes silly stuff. But out there, I was scared. They now know I was scared, so they know how tough it was. And I think they're very proud of their dad. Gemma still, we spoke yesterday. We went to the exchange for a Swifty. We were talking about the row, and Gemma got emotional again about, I think it was about the comms, when we went off comms for 10 days. And she said that was the time that it really hit home, and she was like that to Billy. Now, come on Billy, because she said Billy was very blasé and casual, and I suppose he has to stay like that, and was going, oh, the boys are all right, blah. And she was going, Billy, come on. And she teared up yesterday at that. She's remarkably proud, thinks that I'm crazy, but knows that I'm the kind of person that needs that in my life, that a challenge or something to aim for. So she's always been my biggest supporter. I love her to bits, an incredible lady, and I told her she's my hero. You know, I'm her hero, but she's my hero as well. She's amazing. I love her. It's been weird being sort of a local celebrity, if you like, and I've been walking around. I've had people that I don't know come up to me and congratulate me. I've had a lady stop when we was out walking the dog. She was driving her car. She stopped in the middle of the road and shouted out, "Welcome home, Sean." That was amazing. I've had people at bus stops ask for selfies with me. Yesterday, was working in Dorchester, which if you don't know Portland, Dorchester's, well, you might as well be in Newcastle. It's that far away, it's the mainland. And I bought JD was with me, went to buy a pasty, and the girl at the counter went, "Aren't you that bloke that's just done that rowing thing?" And I looked at JD and she went, "You just can't get away, Dad, can you?" And I went, "Yeah, I am, yeah." She went, "Oh, it was brilliant, I followed it." And so we did what we needed to do, I think, and you know, people have seen it, the local people have seen it, and they know that I'm just a local normal bloke and that we can do these things, and that's what I want. One of the things I wanted people to see.
Wow. It's all right, really, JD. It's only 2 miles deep, something like that.
I give you Jonny, Rocky, Talbot.
Get us to Antigua, Jonny! It's the Adrian! Rachel! Gemma!
Yes, I have got some advice. Firstly, don't do it. Secondly, don't do it. And thirdly, don't do it. Get yourself physically fit. but don't make that your thing. It's not going to make no difference out there. Rowing an ocean rowing boat is not a concept rower or a gig rowing boat or anything like that. So I would say speak to as many ocean rowers that people that have done it and get the warts and all version. How, you know, what it's like out in the mid-Atlantic, how it can really be. Get out on the boat. Don't worry about rowing far. Even if it was in Portland Harbour, go and anchor up, sleep on the boat, radio different boats. Hello MSC Verona, just making sure you've got us on AIS. We're a small ocean rowing boat with limited manoeuvrability, over. Use the kit, take things apart and work out how these things work and learn how to put them back together again. And learn how to clamber around on your boat, because that's what you do. You spend however long it takes clambering about on your boat. So if you can get better at that, you'll be in a much better place. You've got 3,000 miles to learn how to row properly. Don't learn rowing, get out on the boat and clamber and use the radio and use the kit. Would I go through the whole process of raising all this money, getting my whole team together, doing all that sponsorship, out doing rowing events, different charity events? Would I do that? I wouldn't be keen on that. But if somebody wanted me as part of their team and needed another person on a team, I could be talked into that. Never say never. Now I'm more experienced, if you like, but there are other plans, and I've been talking to Gemma and I've told you what it is, Ian. There's still a little bit of life left in the old dog, and I think while my body's just about holding up, I should use it to do good things. And I've got a plan for something next year. I'm not telling too many people just yet, just in case it doesn't come off. But if it does, it's not got this 2 years of planning. It doesn't need 2 years of planning. It doesn't need sponsors. It doesn't need half as much as what planning an Atlantic road does, but it's still a big thing. So I'm not saying too much just in case it doesn't come off and I look silly, but I have got big plans for something next year.